Cushing's Bookshelf, episode 21. Oh shit, there was a fire. And welcome back to Cushing's Bookshelf. As you can see, I'm in the midst of a setting that is not my office. There is no bookshelf. Instead, there is a very generically abstract painting behind me. And this is all because I am currently in a hotel room that I have been put up in by the insurance company that provides homeowners insurance, because there was a fire in the house that did not damage the house in much of a significant way, did not destroy any of our possessions, really, did not harm myself or the cat, and only inflicted a very minor injury to my husband with some burns on his hand, but as he was putting out the fire. But yeah, it basically took out the electrical box in the basement, and so we have no electricity, and with the temperatures that are here in the Midwest this time of year, it's pretty uncomfortable. So after a couple of nights of trying to, kind of rough it, the insurance company worked it out so that we could come here and have air conditioning and all this kind of thing. So yay, insurance company. Yeah. But I am not letting that get in the way. I'm not letting any of that serve as an excuse to not give you an episode this week. So with that in mind, I'm going to talk just a little bit more about this book, Edgar Allan Poe's Richmond, The Raven in the River City, by Christopher P. Sempner. I guess that's how I would pronounce it. And he is, I believe, the curator of the Poe Museum in Richmond, which, if you have not been, is a wonderful, wonderful place to go. Really great exhibits there. I was literally breathtaking to see what they have on display there. But I'll talk a little bit more about this. Now, I have not finished the book, despite the fact that it's a very thin book. And the reason why I haven't finished the book is because, oh shit, there was a fire. But I'm about at page 70 out of maybe out of 120 total pages. And I have a couple of interesting, I think that are interesting at least, insights on this. Number one is, if I had known Poe, I would have not liked him. He would have been an a-hole, I think. That would have been my opinion of him. I would have considered him an a-hole, maybe even a royal douche. Maybe that would be what I would say. In any case, I think it's fair to say that after reading about his personality in this book, that he was maybe the George Costanza of weird fiction. And when I say that, it's just, always kind of doing things that are annoying and crass and tasteless and there's probably another correlation you can draw between him and a character from, like, It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. He would have fit very well into that cast. But that's the first thing, and that's a very kind of superficial thing, I suppose, because despite the fact that he was obnoxious, his work is, of course, brilliant. And the other thing that comes to mind is, the other insight I have is that his story is really this fascinating story of this unlikely sort of waxing and waning of two different forces in his life. You have, on the one hand, this, he was born the child of actors, and actors who had, his father abandoned him when he was, I think, in infancy. His mother died very young. And so shortly after she died, I think within a year or two of having him. So he was raised by a foster family. and the foster family was extraordinarily wealthy. And so you have these two forces at play, I think, throughout Poe's life. You have the forces of respectability, and you have the forces of scandal, and you have the forces of propriety and the sense of almost the nobility, and you have a sense of the degenerate and the squalor and the disease and the perversity. And, at the same time, he had a wonderful education. His foster father wanted to make sure he was well educated, but his foster father did not leave him any money in his will for EDGAR. And so you have this odd combination. And so you have this life that's kind of seesawing back and forth between, the peaks of high culture and the depths of alcohol abuse and debt and madness. And yeah, I think that's what makes Poe interesting. I think that if he was just one or the other, if he was just kind of, this sort of, if he had only lived in one world, the world of the nobility, or the aristocracy in America, or if he had only lived in the world of squalor, probably he wouldn't have been himself, and he wouldn't have been as interesting. But it's that combination of forces in his biography that I think maybe makes him the kind of person who could write the stuff that he wrote. That was so fascinating. I hope I explained that decently. Anyway, so that's your episode for this week. Yeah, and the show must go on, so it did. And I hope you have a great week. And hopefully next week I will be back with the bookshelf in back of me, and I won't have, this, factory-made abstraction here behind me. Until later, take care, y'all. Be safe.